music.
Me and the boys were sitting around drinking, we was talking about things that we was thinking, when all of a sudden what comes out of Bill's mouth? Said I'm getting old and fat and slow, and I don't recover like I did before from nights of rabble, rousing and too much fun. Well, I looked around and we all agreed, and I had a drink and I ordered 3, and I staggered back to do it all again. And we made an oath on a rum and coke with the best intention, I'm sure you know, that we would stop this living in excess. We're gonna have one more party, one more special occasion. Do it Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, holidays and weekends. We can have one more party. There's more hell we should be raising. One more party now, one more party tonight.
Hello everyone. Hello everyone. Hope you liked my little ditty, One More Party. I love it. Sorry if country music isn't your sort of thing, but it's mine. So I just have to live with it. What I wanted to talk to you today about was, it's just a little quickie. It's just something that I've found helps my finished pieces look a bit more professional and actually make it easier to paint. And it's gesso. When we buy our canvases, whether they be big wood-mounted canvases, oh, I've frozen. I've frozen. Dear me.
Keep talking.
Okay, I'm talking about gesso. So, when you buy your canvases, whether they be mounted on a wooden board or canvas squares like these mounted on cardboard, nowadays they come primed. And what that means is they've had a spray of some sort of gesso hurled at them as they've gone through some mechanical process. I wouldn't like to say what the gesso is, and I wouldn't like to say the quality of it. Some of the more expensive canvases you can buy, they really are nice and they're ready to go. But certainly the less expensive ones that we are buying now, just to sort of learn on and practice on, they need a bit of help to get up to a really nice finish to paint on. So I have two of the canvas squares here that we've been working on recently, doing our little practice flowers on. This one is straight out the pack. It's had nothing done to it at all. It's definitely ready to paint on, and I have painted on some like this. This one, however, has been given 3 coats of gesso. Gesso is a primer. It just looks like ordinary white paint. You can get it in black as well. You can tint it yourself. Sorry, Mr. Handyman's throwing thumbs up at me and stuff. It's hard for me to understand. This is Golden. I just like Golden. They're a good professional company. They were the people that invented acrylic paint, so I guess they know what they're talking about. So this is Golden Gesso, and this one is in titanium white. As I say, you can get it in black as well, which is sometimes good if you want a real jet black background, or you can tint this white if you want for your final coat, so you've got a ground to work from. I just left it as it is, straight out the jar. It's a big jar and it's quite heavy. And so for this one, it's had 3 coats of gesso. It also had, before I gessoed it at all, it had a very quick sand over with, well, this is called superfine, and it's been used a lot, so it's a really, really fine grain sandpaper. Just give it a quick sand, brush it off with a paintbrush. Don't brush it off with your hands. We're trying not to put grease on here if we can avoid it, because it makes the paint split off the canvas. It doesn't adhere very well. So give it a very little quick sand with some very, very fine sandpaper. Brush it off with a paintbrush. Give it one coat of your gesso. Leave it to dry naturally if you can. I don't know why, it just dries better if you leave it naturally. It takes, well, I would leave it definitely sort of 4 to 6 hours. Give it another coat, and by that time it's probably the next day. Give another coat the next day, and then you're ready to rock. That is another thing about the canvas that's straight out of the wrapper, if you like. It will have been touched by people. And of course, the sweat in your fingertips, every time you touch it, you're leaving grease, sweaty grease on there. And I know it sounds disgusting, but that is what happens. So once you've got your canvas gessoed, try not to touch it if you can avoid it. Touch it on the sides or wherever that you have to, but try not to touch the top part. Leave it as blemish free as we possibly can. Now you'll see I've had a little go earlier, just for my own curiosity. On the gessoed one, on the ungessoed one, but I want to do it for you here and now so you can see with your own eyes just the difference that it makes. So I'll use red, because I think that probably will show up quite nicely. And I want plenty of it, because I don't want you to think it's because I haven't got enough paint that that this is happening. And then a brush. Dip the ends in your water, dry it off, pick some paint up, pick plenty paint up, and then this is on the ungessoed one. So there we are. Right, you can see that, you can clearly see that it doesn't want to cover very easily. You can get round that by spraying your canvas. The problem then is that you get a thing called underbind, and the paint actually underbinds to the canvas. It doesn't bind enough. So that's the ungessoed one. You know, another coat on top of that and you'd be all right, probably. I mean, actually, I don't know if you can see there, there's a mark, which I would say is a fingerprint or a thumbprint. So what you need to do is leave that to dry, come back, give it another coat, all of which is time and all of which is money, because it's paint that you're putting on here. And gesso, albeit not very cheap, it's not as expensive as your paint. So that's what happens. That's what it looks like. And it looks very poor, very scant coverage, and it's ripped all the paint off my brush already. So let's try the gessoed one. We've spent all this time preparing it. Let's see if it was worth it. Well, certainly not grabbing all the paint off my brush like the ungessoed one. I mean, I've still got paint to go there if I really wanted to. And it's a nice, oh, I thought that was water. I've got a much smoother finish. The paint has gone further. I picked up a similar amount. The paint has gone further, and it's just a smoother finish. So it saved me paint. It'll save me time because I don't have to go back over that and give it another coat. And it's a more professional finish. Now that we come to build on this one with pattern and colours and whatever, it's not going to grab them all up and make our life difficult getting straight edges on things and whatever. This is the problem with these ones that haven't been gessoed. Putting a straight edge down on something that's very lumpy, it's quite difficult. it bleeds into the bottom of the canvas and it doesn't look straight. Whereas this one, I think we won't have that problem with. I think we'll be able to get a nice straight lines and curves and whatever we need. So that's my Miss Paintalot's, it's got a name, tip anyway, is to spend the time, spend the money, invest in some gesso, do your boards, prepare your boards. You can prepare them ages in advance. So as when the mood strikes you to paint, you're there, you're ready. You've got your boards already gessoed and you're ready to go. All right, I will be live again very soon. But can I ask you in the interim, please, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please will you? It makes a huge difference to me and also to you, because you won't be able to join in the chat if you're not a subscriber to my channel. So subscribe and then we'll all be able to chat together like we used to do on Facebook. Thanks very much for joining me and I'll see you very, very soon. Bye.
Me and the boys were sitting around drinking, we was talking about things that we was thinking, when all of a sudden what comes out of Bill's mouth? Said I'm getting old and fat and slow, and I don't recover like I did before from nights of rabble, rousing and too much fun. Well, I looked around and we all agreed, and I had a drink and I ordered 3, and I staggered back to do it all again. And we made an oath on a rum and coke with the best intention, I'm sure you know, that we would stop this living in excess. We're gonna